They'll tell you the Haitian Revolution started in 1791, but they won't tell you it started in the dark, in a forest, with drums, fire, and a blood oath. They'll talk about politics, economics, Enlightenment ideals, but they leave out the spirits. They leave out Vodou, because it makes people uncomfortable to admit that one of the most powerful revolutions in human history didn't start in a palace. It started in the dirt, under the moon, in a sacred ritual led by the enslaved. This wasn't just a rebellion, it was a spiritual war. And it all began at Bois Caiman. For centuries, Haiti's colonizers tried to erase this story. France tried to make Vodou illegal. The Catholic Church called it devil worship. Even today, Vodou is demonized in media, often shown as evil, strange, or dangerous. But what if I told you that without Vodou, there might be no Haiti at all? Let's go back to 1791 before the first sword was drawn, before the plantations burned. Saint-Domingue was a French colony drowning in blood and sugar. 500,000 enslaved Africans worked in hellish conditions. Their lives were short, brutal, and disposable, but their minds and spirits were not broken. They had been taken from many different parts of Africa, but in their pain, they found unity. They held on to their languages, their gods, and their sacred rites. Out of that, Vodou became more than a religion. It became resistance. On the night of August 14th, 1791, hundreds of enslaved Africans gathered in a wooded area called Bois Caiman in the northern part of the colony. This wasn't a random gathering. It was planned. It was secret, and it was dangerous. Those who came knew what was at stake. They were risking their lives to organize something revolutionary. And leading this ritual were two powerful spiritual figures, Duddy Boukman, a Vodou priest, an escaped slave known for his fierce voice and defiance, and Cécile Fatiman, a Vodou priestess, or Mambo, whose name history rarely mentions but whose role was vital. They didn't speak of negotiation. They didn't dream of reform. They called for total destruction of the slave system, and they did it through ceremony. The ceremony at Bois Caiman was not just symbolic, it was a blood pact. According to oral history, a black pig was sacrificed. Its blood was collected and shared. The participants drank it as an oath. They called upon the spirits Elohe like Ogu, Ezili, and Papa Legba to guide and protect their fight. They asked the ancestors to rise with them. They weren't just planning a rebellion. They were invoking spiritual power to unleash war. Bachman is said to have shouted words that echoed like thunder. The God who created the sun that gives us light, who causes the sea to rise, he sees everything. He sees how the white man makes us suffer. The God of the white man demands crime. Ours wants justice. So listen to the voice of liberty rising in our hearts. That night, the flame of revolution was lit. Within days, coordinated uprisings exploded across the colony. Plantations were set on fire. Slaveholders were attacked. Weapons were stolen. Within weeks, the northern plains were in full revolt. To the French, it seemed like chaos. To the enslaved, it was liberation. And it was no accident, it was organized, it was spiritual, and it was fueled by centuries of pain. Bois Caiman is often dismissed by Western historians as myth, superstition, or folklore. But to Haitians, it is sacred memory. It is where the soul of the revolution was born. It is where the enslaved stopped waiting for freedom and decided to take it. And here's what they don't tell you in textbooks. The French were terrified not just of rebellion, but of Vodou itself. They saw the ceremonies, the symbols, the language they couldn't understand, and they feared it, because they knew something was happening that their guns couldn't stop. Vodou gave the revolution something deeper than strategy. It gave it spirit. It was the invisible force binding people together. When enslaved Africans marched into battle, they carried machetes in one hand and the spirits in the other. Vodou was in the songs, in the dances, in the rituals before battle. It was how they prayed, how they mourned, and how they stayed strong in the face of impossible odds. But over time, colonial powers worked hard to erase the power of Vodou from the historical record. They rewrote Haiti's story as one of violence without context. They painted Vodou as evil and backward. They never admitted that it was central to the revolution's success. Even after independence, Vodou practitioners were persecuted by the elite, by foreign missionaries, and even by some Haitian leaders who wanted to seem civilized in the eyes of Europe. But the truth never died. Today, Haitians still remember Bois Caiman. They still honor the spirits that carried them through the fire, and they still fight the same fight, the right to be free in body, mind, and spirit. So the next time someone tells you Haiti is cursed, tell them this Haiti is sacred, and its freedom came from the ancestors, the spirits, and the people who refused to die quietly. What started as a Vodou ceremony became a revolution. What began in the forest ended in the birth of the world's first Black Republic. Not through mercy, not through charity, but through blood, fire, and faith. If this story shifted your understanding of history, if it made you feel something, then do one thing today. Hit the like button so more people can learn the truth. Subscribe to this channel for more untold Haitian history. We're reclaiming stories they tried to bury. And drop a comment with the word Boys Cayman to honor the sacred beginning of a revolution. Because this was never just about Haiti. It was about Black freedom, global resistance, and ancestral power. And tomorrow we go even deeper. In Day 4, we break down one of Napoleon's biggest military defeats, his humiliation in Saint-Domingue, where former slaves and revolutionaries crushed one of the greatest European armies of the time. You do not want to miss it.